welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to our second broadcast of the day. Welcome back to the PondCast episode 75, your weekly dose of all things StarCraft. I'm Coach VIP. With me, I'm joined by the production team, joined by Kura, and joined by the lovely people in the chat as well. Welcome, one all. Of course, earlier this morning, we were live. With some more StarCraft. Jesus. My mind went blank for a moment there. But earlier this morning, we were live with the Turtle Tussle. That's true. We were live with the Tenacious Turtle Tussle, and now we are here. We have returned with the PondCast. So the StarCraft does continue. There's a lot to get into. Those that are curious, is a talk show, or I guess a wrap-up show, where we do catch up with all the tournaments of the week and all the StarCraft-related news of the week as well. First things first, we do have an update regarding the Clem documentary, Let Come Back Kid, I should say. So again, for those who are maybe unaware, this happened quite some time ago, so especially if you're a newer fan of StarCraft, you might not have heard of this. But Comeback TV, or those working behind the scenes at Comeback TV, they did actually crowdfund a documentary series following Clem's story and following Clem's road in 2024. Fun fact, they actually crowdfunded and started filming and started working on this before Clem won EWC. Like, they were already, like, he was already on the rise. He was already he was already the best Terran player in all of Europe and one of the best players in the world at the time. And there was always a bit of like contention between himself and Mar when it comes to best Terran in the world. But he was already being followed, he was already being filmed, and they were already kind of like telling his story, or at least trying to like chronicle his story, I should say. So a big shout out to Coca, a big shout out to those working behind the scenes at Comeback TV. And there is an update. The reasoning for this is because the teaser trailer was released a year ago, and we still haven't received it. A big reason for that, as he explains, is because they didn't actually they didn't know that Clem during filming was going to win EWC. So the fact that he won the Esports World Cup does actually create like a new chapter and more to follow. And I'm sure they probably followed it into 2025 as well, into Clem's also EWC run there as well. So there was just more to film, more to cover. I think he himself expresses that when they first started filming and following Clem, the question was always, when do we stop, right? Like, when do we stop filming? When do we stop chronicling like the story that is Clem, and what's going to be a nice like narrative cutoff point when it comes to the conclusion of the documentary. So it kind of grew in scope. It grew in scope in a way that they didn't really expect, and because of that, the documentary grew as well. We got some explanations. We got an update, I should say, in the sense that apparently the documentary is around like 90% done, and they're estimating that it should be done within the next couple of months. I think they said like around 3 months. Around 3 months' time should be its completion. They also explained that because it grew in scope and grew in length, it went from a 2-hour documentary series into a 2-hour documentary into a 4-hour documentary series, episodic, with basically 1-hour episodes. So around it's I say 4 hours, it's really around 5 hours. I think there are some episodes that are going to be like an hour and a half or an hour and 20 minutes. So, you know, between 1 and an hour and a half per episode, and 4 episodes in total. From my understanding, they finished filming, of course, and they've already worked on the story structure and kind of cutting things out and kind of putting things where they need to be, and also editing. Right now they're in the editing process. They're editing it all together and trying to make it as cohesive and as high quality as they can. So again, much love to Coco, much love to those at Comeback TV. Again, it is cool to get an update. He was also very transparent when it comes to like the scope of things and how things kind of grew to a bigger level and stuff, and they've been working hard, and of course they're very passionate about the project. They're very passionate in general when it comes to StarCraft, when it comes to Clem, when it comes to their boy. So it's great to hear an update from that. Again, learning that it is going to be a documentary series, 4 episodes, and again, a time frame of around 3 hours, more or less. So yeah, for those that are curious, there is that in the works, and should be, I mean, honestly, right around the corner. Like 3 months is not a lot of time, to be honest. So right around the corner. Best of luck to Coca. Best of luck to all those working behind the scenes on the documentary. I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. We will be there to watch it, to update you with it as well. We will be there. Up next, we do have a big Gabe, a Hero Marine. We do have another tournament announced. What I mean by that, this is not the first event that he has organized. We did actually get a couple of previous Big Gabe Experience Craft events in Germany earlier last year. That was in September of 2024. Fun fact, and before that as well. But Hero Marine, he doesn't play in the events. He organizes and he casts. He casts the events. He organizes the events. Of course, he is, I would say, the best player in all of Germany. I say that. I mean, Germany has a lot of strong players, right? With Hero Marine, with Showtime, with Lambo. They are some of the best players in the world in Europe. But he organizes, he hosts, he casts. He does not compete in the event. It is for the local talent. It is for the local German scene. So really cool to see. I know that the first event did have a bit of a greater player pool with Clem, Showtime, and Lambo and Kellizer and many others competing and traveling to Germany and competing in the first event. The second event, I believe, was a little bit smaller. Yeah, it was a little bit smaller when it comes to the prize pool. It was only 800 USD. But now the third tournament, Experience Craft number 3, is 5,000 USD. 5,000 USD. So the likelihood of this event pulling the attention of Showtime, Lambo, Clem, and many others in Europe is quite high. Is going to be quite high. So there's a higher chance that they're going to be attracted and competing in the event. The event itself is going to be happening in Germany, of course. Rotterdam is going to be casting it. Gabe is going to be casting it. And it will be taking place on the 10th of January. I believe it is going to be a one-day event. So one-day event here for the Experience Craft tournament. Best of luck. It's going to be a very intense day of casting, a very intense day of StarCraft. And I can't wait to see who goes and who travels. Question becomes, 10th of January, is Rainer going to be back in Europe? That's the question, really. Is Rainer going to be back in Europe? If he is, then he can compete. If not, then, I mean, he will be unavailable because he's currently in South Korea to compete in RSL and has been in Korea for quite some time. So Rainer, he's not actually in Europe at the moment, so that might affect whether or not he competes. The other question is who is on vacation, right? Coming into January 10th, I mean, Christmas, New Year's, holidays, there are a decent chunk of players that actually do decide to spend time with their families and not compete in full-time StarCraft and just take a bit of a break. So that also is going to be an influential factor as well. I mean, we've seen Clem, for example, have multiple trips to Croatia, to Greece, to just other parts of the world for vacation purposes after big events. So again, we'll see if it's like Cyril, he's got his cabin in the woods. He's got he's got his own. He goes golfing, of course, at times. So we'll see. We'll see who is available, who does travel, who does compete, and we'll see if it even attracts the attention of some international players. I think we all expect to see Europeans there, but Streamer Zone, and we'll get more into it later. But Streamer Zone, they've been very, very proactive when it comes to sending players abroad, right? They flew a lot of players to SC for All, the LAN event in the Americas. They flew players to Stellarfest. They're flying players right now to Korea for RSL, and we'll discuss more about that later. So the likelihood of them being willing to be able to have players travel, even a shorter trip would be Geralt, right? Traveling from Poland to Germany. I can see Geralt going to this. I can see his team willing to pay for that and allowing for Geralt to travel. Are they willing to pay for some of the Koreans to travel? That is the better question for me, at least. Like, are they willing to have like SOS travel abroad to compete? That is the question. So we'll see. We'll see which international players decide to show up and decide to compete. But once again, it's really cool to hear that Gabe is going to be hosting another one of these events. Once again, it's going to be in Cologne, Germany, and a big shout out to Experian for sponsoring the event and has done so for the past year, for the past 2 editions, and now for the 3rd edition as well. So it is really cool to hear. And the last bit of news here for the week is BGE Stara Zagora. If you recall, this is an event that we already announced last week, but now we have further details. I think it was like hours, if not the next day or the same day. It was where we actually did get news.
It was literally like half an hour after the podcast ended.
There you go. So right after the podcast ended, bam, we did have news about BGE Stara Zagora 2026. Again, we already knew that this was happening, but we have confirmed dates here. So we have Media Day on the 20th, and we have the main event 21st to the 24th of May of 2026. Once again, a big shout out to BGE Stara Zagora for giving us a heads up and notifying everyone and securing and confirming dates well ahead of time. So now there's no doubt in anyone's mind there's going to be a big major event happening over in Stara Zagora over at BGE. So really cool to see. And again, once again, it's going to be a week-long event. It was the case last time as well. Once again, I'm uncertain whether or not they do host other esports and other games at the event itself. I'm not too privy to that, I'm not as aware of that. But regardless, we are going to get StarCraft at BGE Stara Zagora. And again, we have a full week locked in for the next big event. So really cool to see, really exciting stuff. And yeah, well, I mean, make sure you mark your calendars. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of amazing players traveling once again. The event was amazing last time, and I'm sure we're going to be seeing more of that this time as well. It does sound like they're very happy with the performance of the event, with the attention that they're getting. It looks like they're growing, I should say. They're growing when it comes to scope, when it comes to size, and yeah, looking forward to more StarCraft over at BGE Stara Zagora. Let's go. Also, I have confirmation that they actually did have some CSGO. Okay. So they had some CSGO as well in the past. So they might do that once again. Here we go. Otherwise, we now jump into our tournaments. We jump into our tournaments themselves here. Up first, we do have our modded events. Up first, we do have the Patches Patch Clash number 9, the 5.4K edition. Now, for those curious, we were offered to cover this event, to cast the event. We unfortunately didn't really have the time to do so. Our schedule didn't really allow for it. But it is also very daunting to cover this event. Patches has created his own mod, his own balance patch even. But it's very extensive and it's very extreme. There's a lot of new upgrades, there's a lot of new abilities. Like it covers all things StarCraft. It's pretty intense. It's pretty intense and pretty daunting and overwhelming. If you're curious, if you're interested, I do recommend checking it out. I think an example of that, for example, is Zerg. There's like a Hive Tech Roach upgrade that does reduce the Roach supply from 2 to 1. Like it's crazy, Pipe. It's crazy. So there's things like that, right, which does make roaches more viable in the late game. But there's like just some crazy upgrades and some crazy changes, and it's quite extensive. So do check out the patch notes themselves. When it comes to the event itself, congratulations to Mixu. If I recall correctly, I believe I almost said Kelleser. Inexorable has been quite dominant when it comes to these events and has won quite a lot of them back to back, but there was no Inexorable this time. Mixu does sign up, does compete. You can see here on the bracket Mixu is Terran. That is because Mixu was off racing, because this is limiting to those that are 5.4k and below. So his Zerg, of course, is a little bit too good for that. That's why he has been playing as Terran at these events. We do see Pig either race picking or picking random. I'm a little bit less certain of that. But Pig also competed. We see Folksher off racing as Proto. So a lot of off racing happening here. And again, congratulations to Mixu for taking down Greener 2-1, Pig 2-1, and Fluxer 2-1 as well. I remember interviewing Inexorable about the patch previously, and he said that things felt very good for Terran, and we can see Mixu also excelling here as well. Actually, looking at the history, have we had nothing but Terran champions for the 5.4k edition? I'd have to double check. Let's have a look here. So number 9, Mixu 1, Inexorable, Pig, Inexorable, Flexi, Inexorable, Berry Crunch. Out of the 9 editions, we've had 8 Terran champions and 1 Zerg champion with Pig. So that, I mean, the patch does kind of lean in one way a little bit at least, or at least it feels that way. But again, it's so extensive. And I should also emphasize that because the patch is so big, I would say that the meta has not settled in any way, shape, or form. And it can still kind of swing in other directions because you have so many new tools to work with, right? You have so many new tools and so many new kind of features available to you at your fingertips. So I feel like it'll take a while for the patch to be really figured out. What I find really interesting is that Patches is still running this event. What I mean by that is that this really hit its stride, this kind of tournament and these modded events, before the patch, before the SC2 patch specifically, right? The latest StarCraft 2 patch that was like 2 months ago at this point. Before that, we were actually having quite a decent amount of tournaments with their own mods, with their own balance ideas, like the Patches Patch Clash or Greenort's patch tournament as well, for example. So there was a lot of that going on when we were trying to figure out what was the best step moving forward when it comes to new changes. And then, of course, we got the actual patch, right? The actual patch went live. As a result, Greenert, his tournaments did stop. Patches also went on a hiatus, but looks like he still wants to run his events despite the patch going live. So really cool to see. It's a really nice kind of sandbox to test new ideas and to test certain changes. So much love to Patches for taking the initiative and for running this event on a regular basis. GG. And GG, well played to Mixu. Meanwhile, that leads us into the Sea Duckling Open number 141. This is our monthly open tournament for those between the leagues of Bronze and Diamond, or specifically below the MMR range of 4.2k MMR. So this is for, again, around like Diamond, high Diamond players in the Americas and European region. This is a tournament that we did start back in 2017, so it's been running for 7 years. Over that amount of time, actually. It's crazy. Over 8 years. That's crazy, Gopa. It's crazy. Wow. Oh, but it's been running for a long time. And this might even. I was mentioning earlier. Hold on. When was the first? I need to look this down. When was the first Legacy Weekly Japan? Because Legacy Weekly Japan is the longest running like Open Cup for Japan, at least. But like how long have they been running?
I mean, considering that they're at like almost 500, it's been a while.
No, yeah, but like, did they start before? I don't think they started before us. No, I think they started after the Duckling Open. Let's see. All right, hold on. I'm getting confirmation. So the very first Legacy Weekly Japan, I can see here. Legacy Weekly Japan number 3, at least. This was back in they got us. 2015. I was curious when the first one was. 2015. So they have it. I was gonna be like, are we the longest running tournament out there right now? I was like, no. They still got us. So 2015, baby. Okay, you win this round, Legacy Weekly Japan. But we've been running for a very long time. We might just take second place for that one, for the second longest running tournament out there since 2017. And congratulations to some newcomers as well. We have a lot of regulars here, like Ragnar, like Sugarcoat II, like Last Ketchup, like Libre. But we had some newcomers in Alfir, the Ukrainian Protoss, and Calixo, the Polish Zerg player. So we had 2 newcomers, and hey, they both made it all the way to the finals, went all the way to the ace match in the grand finals as well, both in the upper bracket and the grand final itself. So great to see that back and forth. Calixo barely did win 2-1 initially over Alfir in the upper bracket finals, and 3-2 in the finals in the grand finals over Alfir. So very close, very clutch, very back and forth. Congratulations to Calixo, for becoming for walking that royal road.
I will say, specifically for this SDO, we had a lot of very close series. I mean really close series. So, if you are interested in some crazy games, I can definitely recommend.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to compete, you can as well. You can take part. Again, this is for those that are below 4.2k MMR. So again, that's, Diamond and below, essentially. So hey, if you're out there, if you want to compete, you want to take part and play in a tournament format against players that are around your skill level, then consider taking part. Consider taking place here during our tournaments. Again, this is a monthly. Back in the day, back in 2017, this was a weekly tournament. But nowadays, as you know, like we cast a lot of StarCraft. We're quite engulfed and entrenched in covering pro StarCraft. So we really have the time to organize these events as regularly as we once did. So now it is a monthly instead, but still running on a regular basis. Do consider competing and checking it out. I will say there very quickly, just because players regularly forget this, but we do have a ladder game requirement. It is a way to just try to ensure that your MMR reflects your current skill level, to just avoid smurfing and new accounts and things of that nature. So we do require at least 100 games played over the past 2 seasons. I say 2 seasons just because the current season is very new. So there's like this grace period where we do still take into account the previous season, but over time that grace period is going to be removed. So you do have to ladder quite heavily this season to get a better idea and get better confirmation as to your current MMR, to make sure it's fair between all the players, and also to incentivize ladder play.
Yeah, to give you a perspective, the way we do the grace period, it adds 10 games every week. So if you play 10 games a week, you should be good.
Yeah, well, you go one big grind session, then you can just get all your games out then and there. But yes, do bear that in mind. Do remember that, just because we often do get players signing up, checking in, showing up, be like, yo, let's go. And I'm like, Mappy, you played like 5 games this season. We need like 50. Like, what's going on? I'm like, I didn't realize. Or they're like, oh, I played some 2v2s though. It's like, that's nice. That's very nice. It's great. that means nothing though. God damn it. So that does happen from time to time. And from time to time, I should say that happens on a weekly basis. There's always at least one player that doesn't quite have the games. But yeah, do remember to get your games into ladder and to consider competing. Do consider. Otherwise, we're heading on over to another amateur event, to the 2025 Initiate End of Year Grand Finals. So we were discussing this last week, how it looks like we are gearing up towards the end of 2025 event for the Amateur League Series. Similar to our events, the Amateur League Series, they are a regular weekly tournament series for lower league players. The difference is that they typically don't have a prize pool. They provide points for like an end of season event. But I believe for this end of year event, they do have a prize pool. So here we go, stepping into the first event, we do have a tournament for those between the leagues of Bronze and Platinum. So between Bronze and Platinum, here we have Saito. Saito takes down Tebs 2-0, takes down Flesh 3-0, and takes down Flaps 4-1 in the Grand Finals in a best of 7. Congratulations to Saito. Congratulations, does claim the win, and it does come out on top as our end of year champion for the Initiate Weekly, for the Initiate Amateur League event. Up next is going to be the Veteran Edition. This is for those between the leagues of Diamond 3 and Diamond 2. Here we have our top 8 players of the year. Here we have Boba. K-Boba. Let's go. We have Boba takes down Sugarcoat the second 2-0. Meanwhile, we do have Balemko. He does fall to M the Great. We have Smite Steel taking down Old Lady. We have Lauren taking down Tonsley. Tonsi. Takes down Tonsi 2-0. Then K-Bobo kept going, took down M the Great 3-0, and then takes down Smite Steel at the end 4-2. So congratulations to K-Bobo for becoming the end of year 2025 Veteran Amateur League champion. Congratulations. That leads us into our next event. That leads us into the Prestige Tournament. This is for Diamond 1 to Masters 2. So again, we're kind of leveling up here over time. We have Steez, Defiance, Set, Zigger, Matrix, Medic Jr., Milka, and Hidich. A bunch of very regulars when it comes to this event. The regulars, we've seen them all quite a bit. Coming into this event, I do rate players like Set very highly. I do rate Steez very highly as well. Milka has won plenty of these in the past, but here we have Steez. Steez takes down Defiance 2-0, takes down Zigger 3-1, and takes down Matrix 4-2 in the Grand Finals at the best of 7. Congratulations to Steez for becoming the Prestige Champion. And that leads us into the Elite Edition for M1 to GM. Here we actually had a pretty decent lineup. We had an Inexorable, Sexy Fox, Nickrat, Deka, Lelix, Bubba's, Azura, and Draconics. Oh, I didn't notice that Draconics played in the past. Okay, let's go. In the end, we had Azura. Azura takes down Draconics 2-1, takes down Lelix 3-0 as well to advance on to the Grand Finals, where we had the favorite player, Nickrat. Nickrat doesn't drop a single map. He 2-0s Deka, he 3-0s Inexorable, and he 4-0s Azura. Congratulations to Nickrat for becoming the end-of-year champion for the Elite Edition of the Amateur League Weekly. GG. Not so amateur here, to be honest. Not so amateur, but congratulations to Nickrat. It does work his way through the event. And that may just wrap up the year of Amateur League Weeklies 2025. Their return and their return in 2026. I don't think we have confirmation yet, but if we do, we will let you know once the new season does begin. But I would imagine they're going to be going on hiatus until the next year. That would make the most sense, as we just did conclude the end of year finals. Did it just conclude? It gives you time to spend time with your families, of course, over the holidays before getting into another season of StarCraft. Actually, just quickly double checking. So it looks like during the off season they're going to be hosting events in a unique format. Okay. So it looks like they have some Amateur League 2v2s scheduled for next week, and they have some Beast of the Hill events as well. So yeah, it looks like they're still going to be running some events during the off season, but it's going to be like a bunch of fun events like 2v2s, Beast of the Hills, FFAs, Archon mode, things of that nature. Okay, let's go. So they are going to be running some kind of like off-brand events for that off-season. Otherwise, we're going to be stepping into our regional tournaments. Okay, here we go. Up first, we do have the Finnish event. We have the StarCraft 2.fi 15V Cup. Here we go. This is the big major event happening over in Finland. Still ongoing. Bear that in mind. It is still ongoing. And we have concluded the group stage. Okay, the group stage did conclude. And the majority of the second stage has concluded as well. Here we go. So we already covered the group stage concluding last week, but now we are working our way through the second stage. Here we had Pupu. Pupu takes down Wave Captain 3-1 to advance on to qualify for the next stage. Not seeded into the final stage, by the way, but did qualify, did make it through. Meanwhile, I have Mixu. Mixu takes down Code Bar 3-0, also making it through. Bearing in mind, remember that Mixu is off racing. He's off racing in this event as Terran, and so far is excelling. Code Bar, he also still makes it out over Middlestor 3-0. So we do have two Zergs and a Terran making it through. We have Enpo. Enpo takes down the Mew 0. We have Fuser. Oh, it's been a while since I've seen Fuser. Okay, Fuser takes down Wooded Microbe. Yeah, Wooden Microbe 3-1, and we still have some lower bracket matches to continue. That'll be later on tonight in 6 hours. In 6 hours' time, the second stage will conclude, and over the weekend is where we do have the final stage for this big finish event. When it comes to the casters and coverage, we have confirmation Cyril is casting this, so a big shout to Cyril. Welmu is there as well. Oh my god, Divinesia, of course, and many others. Lulis, good to see Lulis. But they're all here, they're all covering the events. Again, Cyril does not compete in this because he is the clear heavy favorite, but he's here to help support the event. We spoke about this last time, but fun fact, one of the major sponsors is Basilisk, and I'm sure a big reason for that is Cyril being a part of this. So Cyril, he allows and helps Basilisk get in touch and sponsor, and he also does cast the event as well. It's a way to kind of foster the local Finnish talent in StarCraft. So we do appreciate the initiative, and again, best of luck to all the players. When it comes to his favorite here, I was still leaning towards Mixu, but I don't know how good his elf race is compared to some of the others. He already did lose previously to a Luton, so maybe a Luton is favorite to win the entire tournament. Hard to say. Is hard to say, but GG will play. That leads us into the Amantes de StarCraft number 43. This is a Brazilian bi-weekly tournament, and it looks like we have the return of Eric. Let's go. I'm probably going to get my hands on these replays to cover this event, as this did take place a couple of days ago. It was a 2-day event here, so great to see Eric returning. Eric did go on hiatus. Eric did have some wrist issues, so he was taking a break from the game, but did recently step back, and he did stumble his way through this. He did go down to Inexorable initially, but worked his way back up, taking down Kamikaze, taking down Inexorable 3-0, and then falling to Master in the grand finals. Again, Master has been on that grind the entire time. Master, he is the second best Protoss player in all of Latin America, second only to Mute. He is very strong, very up there. He only dropped maps to Eric, but did win in the end. Congratulations to Master. And this marks the return of Eric. Eric, who has not competed since the offline event, right? Like, I believe he has not played in quite some time. So he's been on a big hiatus. It's great to see Eric return after months of break, and he's still kind of finding his footing. And I'm sure he'll be finding his way back, kind of in that champion spot. And I have confirmation, yes. So his last event was in El Circuito Brasileiro. That was back in June. So it's been 6 months. Jesus, I didn't realize it's been that long. It's crazy, but it has been 6 months since Eric last competed. So he's been out of it for quite some time. Now he's working his way back in. Meanwhile, that leads us into, the event we spoke about previously, Legacy Week to Japan, the longest running tournaments here in StarCraft. They first began back in 2015, and now we are here 10 years later. Over 10 years later, actually. True. Over 10 years later. Here we did have Tapioca. Oh, Tapioca does take down Crimson 2-0, takes down Noah Shirayuki 2-0, and takes down Vaishravanya 2-1 as well. Again, Tapioca has quickly risen the ranks and become one of, if not the best player in all of Japan. We still do see him trade series with Vaishravanya, with Noah Shirayuki, with Psyarch as well, and some of the others. Deadly Kitten is another one. So they do often trade, but we have seen Tapioca win more often than not in recent months. So congratulations once again to Boba, to Tapioca. GG, well played. That leads us into our next event. That leads us into the OSC Rising Star Tournament number 17. Here we go. The bracket has been progressing. Okay. The bracket has been progressing. Again, I feel like we took like a week or two off, like a week or two break, but now we have returned. And when it comes to the event itself, we've been working through the lower brackets and also the upper bracket final. Shameless takes down Percival 3-2 to advance on to the grand finals. Shameless, he has had a more recent winning record against Percival. That is true. We even just covered Shameless beat Percival this morning. A little bit spoilers, I guess, but we'll get into it during the results of the Turtle Tussle. But Seamus has been looking in form and has been having a bit of a better showing over Percival in recent times. Meanwhile, we did have Demi. Demi, he went up against Mixu, of course. Mixu takes down Demi 2-0. Mixu even off-racing as Terran. Yes, that Mixu. Mixu takes down Demi. Baby Marine takes down Rebellion. Middle VK takes down Lelix. Scoring into the next round, we have Mixu taking down Nickrat 2-1. That's a big win, by the way. I was definitely favoring Nickrat to have a bit of a comeback, but no, Nickrat, he is eliminated from the tournament in the lower bracket round 3, so big loss there. Nickrat goes down, Mixu does advance on. Meanwhile, I would say this is a bigger upset. Middle VK, oh my god, Baby Marine, he was primed to make a deeper run here, but Baby Marine, he is out of the tournament. He gets knocked down by Mindle VK. Very impressive play here by Mindle. He does knock Baby Marine out. It takes him down 2-1 and does advance on to the next round where he is swiftly taken care of by Jumi. Jumi takes out Mindle VK 2-0. So we are running out of players. We have our top 5. We have Shameless, we have Percival, we have Jumi, we have Mixu, and we have Young Yakov. Oh boy. I didn't mention this previously, but I do have high hopes for Young Yakov. I feel like Young Yakov, he has the potential to make it even all the way to the finals. But I would say that the best players in this tournament are Young Yakov, Percival, and Shameless. In no particular order, just for each race, right? Young Yakov for Zerg, Percival for Terran, Shameless for Protoss. We mentioned this at the very beginning of this event when we casted it in the first round. And they're still in the events, but there's always potential for upsets. Like Mixu can still threaten, Jumi can still threaten as well. 100%. So best of luck to all the players. Shameless has a bit of time to himself, waiting in the grand finals for his next opponent. Does have time. GG well played. We're nearing the end of the events, and honestly, I think maybe even one more week, maybe 2 weeks to wrap up the tournament. Oh boy, almost there. We can almost crown our rising star. Meanwhile, heading on over, we have the Masters Cup number 150. I believe last time we already covered the group stage, and now we have the playoff bracket. As a reminder, this event is organized by Dave Tesla. Dave Tesla, he does cast. I say organize. OSC does organize the events, but Dave Tesla, he sponsors the event. He does sponsor the event and cast the event himself. So Dave has been covering this on his channel. We do have the lower bracket round 1 concluding. Percival takes down Baby Marine. Cristiano takes down Moja. Ender takes down Jumi. That's a big win for Ender. Nickrat takes down Sebestus. And we even have the next round concluding here. Percival takes down Cristiano 2-1. Cristiano is now out. Ender is out. Ender goes down to Nickrat, and we have our top players. We have Solar, Percival, Geralt, Nickrat, Creator, and Björn. Creator did take down Solar 2-0. Björn took down Geralt 2-1, and we have Creator and Björn as the top 2 players of the tournament so far. That is a big win, by the way. I was definitely favoring Solar over Creator, especially given Solar's recent record. Like, Solar has been looking like a beast in ZVP, so for him to struggle in this matchup and for him to fall to Creator, that's a bit of a surprise, and that's a big win for Creator. So congratulations to Creator, and wishing the best moving forward here. Solar, it's going to be on him to, I have him favored to maybe even make his way all the way back to the grand finals from the lower bracket. We'll see if anyone can stop him. Best of luck to Percival, Geralt, and Nickrat down there as they are stuck with Solar. Likewise, Björn and Creator, they're coming in as the top players, and it's going to be a close series as well. Oh boy. So check out Dave Testa on his own stream on his personal channel for the remainder and conclusion of this event. It looks like maybe one more week of StarCraft to wrap this up, maybe 2 more weeks. In general, a lot of these big events are wrapping up. That leads us into the OSC. The OSC King of the Hill, number 233. This is a King of the Hill style format. Best of one. Winner stays on, loser is eliminated. We did begin with Spirit versus Max Pax. Max Pax goes on a tear, takes on Spirit 1-0, takes on MidVK, takes on Percival 3 wins in a row. Not a bad win streak, but then Solar steps in. Solar, he is the player that knocked down Max Pax. As I mentioned, there's a reason why we were praising Solar's ZVP. Even here, it was best of one, but does take down Max Pax. Takes down Eva, takes down Cristiano, Geralt, Milky Cow, Nickrat, Mana, Art. Massive win streak there for Solar, winning 7-8 games in a row, but his run is ended by Young Yakov. There's a reason why, if you remember, did mention that Young Yakov was the best Zerg player in the OSC Rising Star tournament. You can see him here. He is the one that knocks Solar down and stops that win streak. So big win for Young Yakov. He also takes on Shameless. Big win there as well. Takes on Shameless 1-0 and Trigger. Trigger, he's not the most active of players nowadays. He has been taking some time off. So to see Trigger step up is exciting. So Trigger, he takes down Young Yakov. And Trigger is going to be our king of the hill this week as he takes down Geralt to be the final player standing amongst the 15 unique players we had this week. So congratulations here to Trigger. I say 15 unique players. Geralt was revived. Geralt, he was revived at the very end, but shout out to Trigger for claiming that final win. Of course, Solar walks away with the majority of the prize money, as Solar did go on a massive 8-game win streak. You do earn prize money depending on how many wins you do get, how many players you bring down, but likewise Maxpax, Trigger, and Young Yakov also had decent runs themselves and also did earn some decent prize money. GG, well played, but congratulations to Solar for walking away with the main bulk of that prize money. Congratulations. Whew, that leads us into our Open Cups. Oh boy, we had quite a lot of them this week. We do begin it all with the KSL, with the Korean StarCraft League. This is, of course, a bi-weekly tournament. Did take place over the weekend, and we were here to cast it ourselves. Here we had some nice variety, as we don't often get Zerg players in these tournaments, but Shin takes down Prome 2-0, Shin takes down Bjorn 2-1. Again, we were casting and following Shin here, and Shin had a crazy run taking down Bjorn. He took down Hero, by the way. This is Hero's tournament. Hero, he's often winning these KSLs, but Hero gets knocked down in the semifinals, and we had a grand finals between Shin and Classic. Went all the way to the ace match, best of 5, went to game 5. It was close, could have gone Shin's way. In the end, did go Classic's way. Congratulations here. Classic does claim the win. Classic is going to be this week's Korean StarCraft League champion. GG, well played. Very close, very clutch, very intense back and forth. If your eyes do not deceive you, as you can see here, Tasia was also competing. Again, if you've been unaware, if you've been maybe not watching StarCraft over the past couple of months, I think it's been like 5 months at this point, but even more than that. The year has just blazed by. It's crazy. But Tasia has been competing this year. He's been competing specifically in StarCraft Evolution, and every now and then he plays in Open Cups, like KSL. I think he's even played in a Sparkling Tuna Cup as well. But every now and then he does play in other tournaments. He's not really too focused on competing in StarCraft 2. He's mainly focused on competing in StarCraft Evolution, and even then, only in his free time. For those that are curious, Tasia, he did let us know that he did take he took like a test or an exam to be a public servant in Korea, and that's going to be the next stage of his career, and he's just waiting to kind of like get his certificate and get that all kind of wrapped up before moving on. During his downtime, during the time where he's waiting for that, that's when he's competing and playing in SE Evo. Just as a heads up. As Tasia is waiting on that. Otherwise, he is competing from time to time in these Open Cups, so great to see some more of Tasia. Meanwhile, Classic takes down Perceive, takes down Percival, and of course took down Tasia, and the only player to stop at Classic in his tracks was Shin. Classic still, of course, won. Congratulations to Classic. Shout out to Shin for being a strong contender. Congratulations. GG, well played. That leads us, and also a big shout out to Dave Testa and Chicken Man. They both do organize the KSL. They have their own Patreon as well, so if you want to support the KSL, you can do so via Patreon. And again, a big shout out to Chicken Man and Dave Testa for organizing the event. Big shout out. That leads into the Sparkling Tuna Cup, STC number 114. This is our weekly tournament on a regular basis. It's a weekly Open Cup, a little bit more of a friendly EU/Korean time zone and time slots. And here we had, again, Trigger. I did mention previously, Trigger has been very inactive these past couple months. Post EWC, he's not been playing in too much, but of course, Trigger, he traveled to Canada, he traveled to NA to compete in Stellarfest, to compete in SC for All, to compete in the NA LAN events, and now in his return to Korea, he has also been playing in the OSC events and even in Tuna Cup for the first time in a long time. And Trigger popped off. You can see he 2-0 Perceive. He went up against Nickrat. Nickrat, the only player to take a map. Nickrat took one game, and he's the only one. Like, that's crazy. I mean, it also shows how good Nickrat's TVP is. Like, we always give praise to Nickrat's Terran Protoss, but Trigger takes him down. Trigger, he 2-0 Skillus, and he 3-0s Percival in the grand finals. GG, well played. Strong showing there by Trigger. I should also emphasize that this shows how informed Trigger is, because Percival did not perform poorly. Who did Percival beat? He beat Cristiano in the quarterfinals, and he beat Classic in the semifinals. Classic, who was the favorite player. He is the highest rated player in this entire tournament. He was favored to win everything. There's a reason why he won KSL this week. True, he won KSL. should have won this as well, but he was denied as Percival shut him down. Of course, Classic does have a different style compared to Trigger. Classic is a little bit more standard in this play, a little bit more macro oriented. Trigger can be more aggressive and more assertive, so different kind of play style, different kind of TVP. Percival, he excelled in one, less so in the other. So congratulations to Trigger for claiming the win in the end. GG. GG, well played. That Trigger marking his return and coming out on top despite Classic being in the event, despite Skilless being in the event as well. So well played here by Trigger. He does perform well here, coming out on top. Meanwhile, we have the Wardy TV Monday number 64. Here we go. We have our open event. This is the day after Tuna Cup. This is organized by Wardy. We would usually cover this in Caster's event as well. Also, very quickly, when it comes to the Tuna Cup, it is organized and funded by us, by the CranKy Ducklings, specifically by the Patreon. So if you want to support us, if you want to support the Tuna Cup and the CranKy Ducklings and all of our tournaments, including Sea Duckling Open, Macedon Open, and Sparkling Tuna Cup, you can do so via Patreon. It is all done via Patreon. Meanwhile, Wardy, he does host and organize his own Monday night weekly. Sorry, he has his own weekly Monday tournament. We used to cast this event live on a weekly basis, but because of daylight savings in Europe, the event starts very late. It starts at 11 p.m. my time, and it ends around 4 a.m. So it ends very, very late, and unfortunately, I cannot cover this live like I used to anymore. We do still cover it via replays instead, just as a heads up. Otherwise, it's casted live by Clem. Sorry, by Clem. It's casted live by Wardy. Clem was competing, of course. Clem takes down Young Yakov 2-0. He takes down Lunacy 2-0. Takes down Gumiho 2-1. Gumiho did take a map, and great to see Gumiho once again. Gumiho is very inactive nowadays, so great to see him competing. Clem, he 2-0's Rainer, and he falls to MaxPax in the finals. MaxPax had a very chaotic run here. MaxPax did drop a map to Ryung. He dropped a map to Shin. He 2-0'd Solar, and he 3-2'd Clem in the finals. Congratulations, MaxPax, coming out on top this week in the Wardy TV Monday. They often do trade, they often go back and forth. Speaking of, I'm sure they also played in the Monday Night Weekly as well. Heading on over, this event is organized by Comeback TV. Shout out to the French scene and the French community. They do organize this event on a regular basis, and it is funded via their Ko-Fi. They have a Ko-Fi account, a Ko-Fi page. It is similar to Patreon, very, very similar. So it is all funded and organized via Ko-Fi. And we have our weekly tournaments, and they also do something special. If you didn't know this, they have a award for the best performing Zurich player. A laser, he earns some prize money here as he does make it to the lower bracket round 3. Lower bracket round 3, gets knocked down by Trigger, but does walk away with some prize money here. Again, this is the way to incentivize Zurich players, because as you can see, there's not many Zurich players in the pro scene at the moment. Oh, for a long time, actually. For a long time, the Zurich pro scene has been shrinking and shrinking, so it's just a way to incentivize play, incentivize performance, and should try to bring Zurich players back. So Laser does walk away with some extra prize money. Meanwhile, we have Clem, and Clem, he takes down Shameless 2-0, takes down Art 2-0, takes down Big Gabe 2-0. He falls to MaxPax once again. MaxPax, he took Clem down 3-2 earlier in the Wardy TV Monday. Here he takes him down in the upper bracket, and then Clem gets his revenge. Clem, he does work his way back up, and you can see Clem win 3-1 against MaxPax, and then 2-0 in the rematch. So Clem, he wins here in the Monday Night Weeklies. MaxPax wins in the Wardy TV Mondays. So again, as you mentioned, they often trade. They often go back and forth. It's not uncommon to see one win one time, then the other win the next time, and they have that back and forth. I will say that this week there were less Koreans. There's no Hero, there's no Classic, there's no Shin, there's no Solar, there's no Bunny, there's no Cure. Very often for these Monday Night Weeklies, like this. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Hero was in this. He got knocked out early. Jesus. Wait, who knocked him down in the upper bracket? Quickly double checking here, because Hero, you can see him there in the lower bracket. He got knocked out by a laser. A laser did knock him out, but who knocked him down is the question. Double checking here. Oh, Trigger. Okay, Estet Trigger. I mean, he is the Tuna Cup champion this week. So Trigger, he actually was a player that knocked Hero down to the lower bracket initially, and Trigger performed quite well. He got into top 4 of the event. So GG, well played. Congratulations to Clem for becoming this Monday Night Weekly champion. That leads us into the Pigasus Cup. Into Pigasus Cup number 61. This event is hosted and organized by Protostegosaurus. It is sponsored by Pig. Pig does sponsor the event. Protostegosaurus, he also does provide prize money and also runs the event himself. He's the admin. He's the organizer. So much love to Protostegosaurus. This event we did cover ourselves, and here we had players waking up to compete. Solar, he does advance on, takes down Percival in the semifinals, goes up against Cure in the grand finals. I was curious. I was like, where was Cure? Cure, he was sleeping to wake up in the morning for this event instead. Cure takes down Nylon, takes down Epic 2-1, takes down Creator 3-1. Big win there for Cure, and Cure looking dominant against Solar, takes him down 3-1 as well. I mentioned this before. I would say that Solar's current weakest matchup is ZVT. It is his weakest matchup. Solar has been excelling against Protoss, and we've seen Solar pop off and take down Hero and Classic and even Max. Remember, we saw him take down Max during the OSC King of the Hill. Like Solar, his ZVP is looking insanely good. His ZVT is still lacking a little bit. Still has some room for improvement. It is true that Solar did defeat Clem last week. That is true. But if you watch the games themselves, they were very specific, kind of strategic wins. Solar, he went 2 base Muta unscattered, for example, one game. Clem, another game, he went for a Hellbat push, which got hard countered and shut down. So Clem just insta-GG there. Like, they were just really specific, hyper niche kind of builds that were taking place, which Solar did come out on top of. But when it comes to some more straight-up play, that is where players like Cure can excel, and Cure, he does take the win here in a more straight up standard TVZ. GG, well played. As Cure is this week's Biggest Cup champion. That leads us into this morning's tournament. So the Tenacious Turtle Tussle number 37. This is not a weekly, this is a bi-weekly. Every fortnight, just like KSL, we have the Turtle Tussle. This is not funded by our Patreon. This is funded by a very passionate fan in StarCraft, Mark BT. Mark BT is a viewer, he's a fan, he has a lot of passion for StarCraft, and he does sponsor the event on a bi-weekly basis. Here we did have a bit of a smaller bracket, but regardless, some high caliber players. Bjorn, he does breeze his way to the finals. Shameless takes down Rebellion 2-0. Shameless takes down Percival 2-0. Big wins there for Shameless. And I'll be honest, Shameless, he almost 3-1 Bjorn. Like the Shameless had a really close series versus Bjorn. It went all the way to the ace match, and I'm still thinking about the game on Mothership. I'm still thinking about the game on the Old Republic. Like Shameless, he was so close to bringing Bjorn down. There were even moments in those two games where Shameless was ahead. He was in a better position, but it did slip through his fingers. And Bjorn had a very impressive comeback in the series. He did win 3-2 after being down 2-1. So GG, well played. Bjorn does come out on top. Bjorn did come in as the favorite player, but it was not easy. It was not easy at all, and it shows just how much Shameless has improved over the past 2 years. There's a reason why Shameless, he is the top player currently in the Rising Star tournaments, because he is one of the big Rising Stars, and he's been doing really well. And for those that maybe don't watch much StarCraft, if you only watch big premier events, then you probably don't know him. Like, you probably don't really know players like Percival or Young Yakov or Shameless as much, even though they have been beating these top players on a more regular basis recently. Even here, for example, going all the way to the ace match against Bjorn. GG, well played. Congratulations to Bjorn, but shout out to Shameless for performing as well as he did. And that leads us into the Wardy TV 2025 series as the end of year event for Wardy TV. This is an event that has been running for the past couple of weeks. We had the qualifiers, if you recall, initially, now coming into the group stage, and I believe last week the group stage had yet to begin. It looks like it had yet to begin. So we have a lot to go through here. We have the initial group stage almost completely wrapping up, and as you can see here, Group D begins in an hour. So Group Stage 1 will conclude tonight. Tomorrow we have Group Stage 2, and then over the weekend we have the Championship Bracket. No, my apologies. It looks like the weekend is going to be free, and next week is going to be the Championship Bracket, thankfully. So it looks like Wardy will not be clashing with RSL. He will not be clashing. So from the top, we have Group A. We had Cure, Mana, Young Yakov, Percival, and Trigger. If I remember correctly, we didn't get to predict the group stage because at the time we had no confirmation. It was like a couple days away from the group stage starting, and Wardy had not actually confirmed the invited players. So the groups were not seeded yet. So from Group A, we have Cure, Mana, Young Yakov, Percival, and Trigger. Ooh, based off of Trigger's recent performances, I was expecting him to perform a little bit better here. Trigger, he did come out in last place. Percival, I also had high expectations there as well, but a really, really close group. I would say maybe even the group of death. Like, the skill level of these players is very close. I'm speaking on Young Yakov, Mana, Percival, and Trigger. In the end, Cure, Mana, and Young Yakov barely make it through, but it could have gone either way here. Very close, very clutch. Yeah, I would say this group was closer than some of the others. We have Group B. Group B, we had Scarlet, Rogue, Shameless, Nightmare, and Ryung. Scarlet excelling. Scarlet's been looking really impressive recently. Again, we spoke about her return. Scarlet took a massive break from StarCraft, but did actually start competing, I want to say like a couple of weeks before Stellarfest. A couple of weeks before Stellarfest, because she was competing in Stellarfest. So Scarlet, she marked her return, and Scarlet has been getting some really, really impressive results in these online tournaments and in offline events as well. So Scarlet, she does come out in first place, in Group B. Rogue in second, Shameless in third over Nightmare and Ryung. Nightmare has been very inactive. Ryung has been casting a lot as well. So I would say there's a bit of a skill disparity here between the bottom two and the top players in Group B. Group C, we have Raynor, Spirit, Geralt, SOS, and Nicaract. Ooh, Nicaract struggling here. I was hoping that Nicaract would maybe have a slightly better performance. Actually, I say that. He did take a map off of Geralt, took a map off of Spirit, took a map off of SOS. There's a lot of ace matches that barely did not go Nicaract's way. In the end, Raynor in first place, Spirit in second, and Geralt in third. So we have our top three players. Up next, we have Group D, Euthermal, Bunny, Creator, Nice, and a Laser. This is going to be an interesting one. Euthermal, he's been looking really good as of late. Euthermal's one of those players that he is a content man. He does create a lot of content. He does not practice. He does not commit and devote his time to improving in StarCraft like he used to, which is a bit of a shame, but he's a very smart player. He's a very strategic player, and because of that, I can see him beating Bunny in the TVT. I can see him beating Bunny in the TVT. I can see him having some cheeky games against Nice and against a Laser. Honestly, I can see Euthermal making it through. I would not say he's favored. I would say Creator's favored. I would say that Creator, he should be coming out in first place. I think that Euthermal can make his way through this group. Nice is a wild card. Nice is retired. Nice has only been playing every now and then for fun. So Nice is an interesting addition here, and he's going to be a bit of a wild card as well. A Laser, he devoted most of this year to playing AoE 4 and competing in AoE 4. Recently, a Laser returned to StarCraft 2, and he's been improving. He's been looking decent as well. This is a close one. I think Group D is kind of like Group A, where I feel like a lot of the skill of these players are quite close. I think the Creator stands above the rest. That is true, and Bunny not too far behind him, but like again, like I can see like a mix and match of Euthermal or a Laser or even Nice making it through. So it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a close one. Best of luck to the players. Best of luck. It's going to be exciting Group D. Meanwhile, we have Group A and Group B. That is Group Stage 2. These players, I believe, are already seeded into the next round. We have Classic, Beyond, Max, Pax, and Solar. Like, I believe they're already confirmed for the championship brackets, but this is just seeding matches, essentially. So we have Group A and Group B. We have Classic, Beyond, Max, Pax, Solar, Clem, Hero, Showtime, and Shin. Hefty players, hefty groups. Clem is going to be favored in his group. I would say that Max Pax is favored in his. I mean, actually, I say that. God, these groups are hard to call. Like, these are the best players in the world. Straight up. Clem and Beyond, they're some of the best Terrans in the world. Clem is the best, and Beyond is up there like top 3, top 4. For Protoss, these are the best Protoss players in the world. These are top 4. Max Pax, Hero, Classic, Showtime. These are the, unironically, these are the top 4 players in the world. Top 4 Protoss players in the world. You can make an argument for like maybe Zaun over Showtime, maybe, but even then, I think I'm more comfortable right now with Showtime than Zaun. Zaun has been less active. I mean, hey, there's a reason why Zaun is not in this tournament. Like, Zaun has been taking a bit of a step back recently, and it's been showing in what little we've seen from Zaun. So yeah, we have the top Protosses here, and then of course we have Solar and Shin, who are the top 2 Zerg players in South Korea. I do place them both above Rogue. So I do place them both above Rogue at the moment. They're the top 2 Zergs in Korea. When it comes to the Zerg players in the world, I mean, hey, Raynor's in the tournament. No Serral, but Serral doesn't often compete in these events. So yeah, the caliber of play here is going to be insane. Is going to be insane. Best of luck to all those competitors. Best of luck to those in the group stage. And again, tonight is Group D, and over the next couple of days is going to be Group A and Group B over the course of the weekend. These groups actually may clash with RSL. The seeding matches, and the championship bracket is next week. So hey, next week when we have the next podcast, we will have some updates, and we will not have a champion. We won't have a champion. We'll have updates regarding the championship bracket. Look forward to it. I do look forward to it. When it comes to predictions for Group A and Group B for the seeding matches, that's a hard one to call, to be honest. Like I want to say Clem and Hero, but I mean Shin recently beat Hero last week or this week. True. Showtime, he can pop off in PvP. So I want to tentatively say Clem and Hero, but I can see Shin and Showtime bringing Hero down. For Group A, I want to tentatively say... Oof. I want to tentatively say Max Pax and Solar. No. Classic and Solar. I'll say Classic and Solar for Group A. But it's a hard one to call. And even then, I think all four players, they make it through anyway. So, like, they're all going to make it through the group anyway, just in different placings. But, yeah, it's going to be a close one. Like, as I mentioned before, I do rate Solar's ZVP quite highly, and I can see him beating both Max Pax and Classic. I can see him having a close series against Beyond. That can go either way. That's at least what I'm looking at there. When it comes to Classic versus Max Pax, I do lean towards Classic over Max Pax in PvP. And Beyond, he's going to have an interesting time. I do favor both Protosses over Beyond. I do. Beyond's been having a harder time in TvP, for sure, for sure. But best of luck, regardless. Best of luck to all the players. Best of luck to all those involved. And again, check this out over on Wardy's channel, as he's going to be covering the event and hosting the event over the next week or 2 weeks of play. Best of luck. Best of luck. Otherwise, that is going to be us wrapping up all the events for the week. I get a little bit lighter when it comes to news, but still a lot of Open Cups, still a lot of tournaments. And again, there's still a lot to conclude next time when it comes to the Wardy TV event, when it comes to the Finnish event as well. Again, Gabe's tournament's right around the corner. Something that we should also briefly touch on, Kuro, is RSL, right? The RSL, the Rival StarCraft League finals, the end of year event is happening in a couple of days.
In my defense, we did talk about it last week.
Yes. So talking about it this week, we have the RSL Rival offline finals. That is going to be in a couple of days' time. That is this weekend, starting in 2 days. So starting in 2 days' time, we do have the RSL finals. Bearing in mind, it's a 2-day event happening in South Korea, and players have been flying over. We already have confirmation. We have photos. Jumi's been posting online. I think he posted a selfie with Geralt. So Jumi and Geralt, they've arrived in South Korea. I mentioned earlier the Streamer Zone. They've been committing to flights and to travel expenses, so they've been helping their players travel to these events. We saw a lot of players traveling to the Americas for Stellarfest and SE for All, and we're seeing players being flown here to Korea for the RSL finals as well. That's why I did mention speculation about maybe flying players to Germany to compete in Gabe's tournaments. So we'll see. We'll see if that happens. We'll see how Streamer Zone supports their players. Regardless, they have been. So big shout out to Streamer Zone. When it comes to the open bracket here, we have Maru. We have Maru waiting for the winner of Bunny and Ryung. We have Cure versus Geralt, Shin versus SOS, Solar versus Rex, Creator versus Nightmare, Rainer versus Jumi, and Trigger versus Percival. Touching on what Kuro just said, we already went through this bracket previously. How I think I mentioned that Maru was favored. Maru was favored to make it through, but it would be really cool to see who can stop him. Trigger's been in form. Rainer has been in form. Creator's been looking good. Solar's been looking good. I do think there's some good competition. If I remember correctly, I said that the biggest, I would imagine that the biggest threat to Maru is going to be Cure. Cure did beat Maru in EWC, and Cure has some killer TVT. So if Cure can make it past Shin, I think that Cure can beat Maru, and I think he'd be like Maru's biggest threat. I can also see Bunny and Ryung beating Maru as well. True, like I feel like the TVT matchup is the one matchup where Maru can be stopped here, but in the other matchups, Maru's been looking insanely good. So we'll see. We'll see. I do hope for some really good games. And again, that entire bracket will be playing out in day one. Day one is going to be the open bracket. Day two is going to be the grand final brackets featuring Classic, Hero, and Zaun. And I hope that we don't get a fourth Protoss. Honestly, it would be funny, but it would be a shame if we had pure Protoss in the top 4. Like that would be crazy. Is there a world? Can Trigger make it? Can Creator make it? Can some of the other Protosses pop off? Honestly, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be a tough one here, but there's a world where that could happen, and there's a part of me that wants to live in that world. There's where it's just pure Protoss at the end, just for the memes, baby, just for the memes. Aye. So best of luck. Best of luck to all the players there. Since RSL was 16, 17, no, 13th and 14th, 13th and 14th. It is going to be this weekend. No. But otherwise, with that, we are going to be wrapping up. With that, we're going to be wrapping up here. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Again, there's a lot coming up around the horizon or around the corner here in regards to big tournaments. If you yourself want to compete in these tournaments, sign up list in the chat. There are plenty of events here that are available to you if you want to compete. If you want to just take part in some of these events, play with some players that are close to your skill level, or just compete amongst some of the best players in the world, you can do so via the sign up list. We have the Host Open right around the corner. That's a Brazilian tournament. We have Legacy Weekly Japan. That's going to be in 3 days' time. That is the Japanese tournament. We have Water TV Mondays. We have Sparkling Tuna Cup, MSO, MNW. We have Monday Night Weeklies, and plenty more StarCraft available for you. So plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft. MSO, that's going to be next week. That's going to be Master 1 Open number 99. That is our open tournament for players below 4.7k MMR, so more for Masters players. So hey, if you want to take part, if you want to compete, there's plenty available to you. When it comes to other events around the corner, do not forget about Thermal's 2v2 Circuit. That's also coming up in January, and many, many more events. So do check it out here. Of course, we're kind of entering a slower period in StarCraft. Very quickly, if you look at our schedule, we do have a leaner week this week. RSL is still this weekend, but we don't have a cast tomorrow. No cast tomorrow currently. If I really wanted to, I could organize Woody TV Monday tomorrow, to be honest. Like I could organize a cast tomorrow if I really wanted to. But we want to take it easy, so no cast scheduled for tomorrow. That means most likely we're going to have a ladder session, a bit of a ladder stream, and we're going to just ease our way into a bit of a more carefree night tomorrow evening. We have RSL over the weekend, and the next cast here on the CranKy Ducklings outside of RSL will be the Wardy TV Monday replay cast on Monday. So plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft. If you want to support us here on the CranKy Ducklings, you can do so via Patreon, !Patreon in the chat. Our Patreon funds Sea Duckling Open, Master 1 Open, and Sparkling Tuna Cup. All of our open tournaments are organized and funded via Patreon. So thank you so much, all of our current patrons. We do appreciate the support, and you can help us grow our tournaments and grow Tuna Cup through Patreon as well. Thank you. Thank you so much for all the support. Thank you so much to all those over on Patreon. I should also mention, when it comes to our weekly schedule, Tuna Cup is usually on Sundays, but it is not this weekend. The reasoning for this is because RSL is this weekend and we do not clash. Whenever there's like Home Story Cup or Esports World Cup or DreamHack Dallas or RSL or some other, or SE for All or Stellar Fest, whenever there's these other big offline events happening over the weekend, we do reschedule so we don't clash with them, and we typically reschedule to Tuesday. So the next Tuna Cup is not on the 14th, it is on the 16th instead, is going to be on the Tuesday. Meanwhile, it's going to be on the 16th, and the next Tuna Cup after that is still on the 21st. So we still have the same amount of Tuna Cups this month, but we just move one of them from Sunday to Tuesday. Just as a heads up. But otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. A big shout out to Kuro for, of course, organizing the production side of things and making sure that everything looks as clean as it does. And if you want to tune into more of the CranKy Ducklings, you can follow us on all the socials. !Socials in the chat. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, all things CranKy Ducklings. We do stream on YouTube on a daily basis alongside Twitch. I mean, usually on a daily basis. Again, tomorrow we do have a day off. But again, we do stream on both Twitch and YouTube at the same time. And VODs are uploaded to YouTube on a daily basis. So there's plenty of content on YouTube. If you want to watch a previous podcast, if you want to watch the Tuna Cup, RSL, Wardy TV Monday, OSC events, even the Circuito Brasileiro, the Brazilian Soccer Circuit, or other tournaments, it is all on YouTube. Plenty of content, plenty of StarCraft. Do check it out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys over the weekend for RSL. I have confirmation as well. We are going to be co-streaming RSL this weekend. We have permission, so that should be our next coverage, our next cast. See you then. See you then for the RSL. Until then, hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego.